The Knicks front court is in shambles right now. We just learned that Mitchell Robinson is going to miss the entire season for the New York Knicks. Even if he comes back, that likely is not going to happen till the playoffs. Then we're missing Jericho Sims. He's also dealing with an injury. He's likely out for another week or two. So that means the front court for the New York Knicks are with Isaiah Hartenstein and Taj Gibson. The Knicks must make a trade to upgrade their front court. They need somebody that can play a power forward and a center position. And thanks to Fred Katz of The Athletic, he gave us a long list of a number of candidates that the New York Knicks could look at to trade for to address this front court situation. We're going to break down all of this and so much more today. So be sure you're subscribed to the channel and have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. Fred Katz of The Athletic reveals the New York Knicks trade targets that they can go after these key injuries to Mitchell Robinson and Jericho Sims. We knew even before these injuries that the New York Knicks needed to make a trade. We needed more talent, we needed more spacing, we needed more size, and absolutely, we needed more shooting. But now, in the wake of these injuries to Mitchell Robinson and Jericho Sims, we absolutely need to add another big man to shore up our front court. Because let's be honest here, Isaiah Hartenstein, Taj Gibson, and maybe, like Tom Thibodeau stated, sometimes seeing Josh Hart or Julius Randle at the 5, there is no way the New York Knicks can last the entire season doing that. And even if they do, and they magically get to the playoffs, in the playoffs, when other teams turn it up another gear, will the Knicks be able to do that after playing so many players at different positions all season? That's the question we're going to have to ask ourselves. But at least right now, the question for me, and probably for you guys as well, who are the free agents? Who are the trade targets that the New York Knicks could look at that potentially they could sign to get on this roster? Well, thanks to Fred Katz, he went ahead and broke all of this down. Let's go ahead and look at the report. Per Fred Katz of The Athletic, he states the following: trade candidates, ones who either aren't playing much or on an expiring contract with losing teams, who fit the description include Andre Drummond, Bismack Biyombo, and Xavier Tillman. The Sacramento Kings employ a couple of veteran centers who don't play much and would fit into the DPE. He's speaking about the Disabled Player Exception that the New York Knicks applied for after they learned that Mitchell Robinson was likely going to miss the entire season. Alex Len and JaVale McGee are two names to watch. All of these players would presumably back up Hartenstein, not start over him. Of course, the Knicks could find help in other ways as well too. Shout out to Fred Katz of The Athletic for giving us this breakdown of names the New York Knicks could potentially go after. I want to warn you guys, even though we just went over these names and we're going to go over them and break them down, there are a long list of other names he gave us, and we're going to cover them as well too. So please, stick around. But going to the first name he mentioned, Andre Drummond. For me, no brainer. If you can get him from the Chicago Bulls for a deal that makes sense, you do it. Is he as athletic as Mitchell Robinson? No. Is he as quick or fast? No. But will he give you the offensive rebounds that Mitch gave you? Absolutely. And if you play him 20 to 25 minutes, he might break the rebound record for the New York Knicks. In about 15 to 16 minutes, he's pulling down 8 to 9 rebounds now, blocking 1 to 2 shots. Could you imagine if you're doubling his minutes, maybe tripling them depending on the game? He would be a monster for the New York Knicks. If I'm the Knicks, I am calling the Chicago Bulls and I am seeing what it would take to get Drummond on this roster. For me, he is the ideal fit because of the fact that he could do what Mitchell Robinson does on the boards, but also his cost and his price tag would likely be very, very low. That means it's a Leon Rose move because Leon Rose is risk averse. And if it costs too much to make a move, he's not going to make it. Well, thankfully, this move may not cost you that much at all. That's why I think it checks the box for the Knicks. It checks the box for the Bulls because they get assets for somebody that they're not really playing that much. And absolutely, it helps both teams get better. That's why you make the move. But let's go ahead and continue here. Bismack Biyombo, Xavier Tillman. Xavier Tillman, I don't think he's realistic. I know he's not having a great year. He was injured, but I don't think he's realistic because of his age. And I also think because of the Steven Adams injury, Memphis actually thinks highly of him. Bismack Biyombo, that would have been a good name to look at earlier during the season. Right now, given the Steven Adams injury, the Memphis Grizzlies are not going to let him go. They need more depth at that position, and he offers that. And not only that, he plays that position very well for them. So I doubt at all that he's going to be available or be traded by them because there really isn't any need for them to do that. They actually need him and his services. So that doesn't make sense to me. I would love Biyombo on this team, but it doesn't make sense. Alex Len and JaVale McGee. Alex Len and JaVale McGee. I don't know how to say no bigger than hell no. So I'm just going to say that. Hell no. No way. Never. I don't want either of those guys on this roster. I don't care if it's in a backup form. I don't want either of them. Next. Mason Plumlee. Let me make this one short and sweet. I don't want to sign or get a player that just came off of an injury. That doesn't make sense to me. We just lost a player because of injury. Why would I bring another player in who is suffering with an injury? Fred Katz continues and states, maybe they could call the Atlanta Hawks about Clint Capela, considering the Hawks just extended a promising young big man in Olynyk Okongwu. Yeah, I don't want Clint Capela. I know he's good. I know he can block shots. I also understand he can rebound as well too, but he can't really do much else. He's a veteran in this league at this point in time. His age does me no favors. His contract does me no favors. And I don't think he really helps this team much. And if he came to this team, he would likely start. And no offense to him, but I would rather have Isaiah Hartenstein starting right now, given what I've been seeing from Hartenstein when he started, versus seeing the New York Knicks trade some assets to go after Clint Capela, who I don't believe moves the needle enough for this Knicks team. So thanks, but no thanks. I absolutely do not want the New York Knicks to do that move. Let's keep it moving here. Fred Katz also mentions that Zach Collins would be an ideal get, but the San Antonio Spurs just extended him, meaning he's not eligible to be traded until after the season. So he's off the list. Then you got Kelly Olynyk, who's on an expiring $12.2 million deal with the Utah Jazz. Doesn't fit the defensive criteria for the Knicks, but he would be a wonderful contributor with the second unit that loves to play fast, considering he's not just a center with a jumper, he's also a playmaker. Then you have Precious Achiuwa. He's an energetic big man having a bounce-back season and will be a restricted free agent next summer. The league is waiting to learn what direction the Toronto Raptors take. They currently sit at 11-16 and have 3 upcoming free agents more consequential than Achiuwa: Siakam, OG Anunoby, and Gary Trent Jr. I would absolutely love Precious Achiuwa. No surprise, because there's another player on Toronto I would absolutely love as well too, OG Anunoby. I think those two players would make so much sense on this Knicks team. But unfortunately, these two franchises are not going to do business this season and probably not likely for a lot of seasons going forward because of the impending lawsuit. So you can cross OG and you can cross Precious Achiuwa off the list. The Knicks are not going to go into those type of trade talks with those teams because it just doesn't make sense at this point in time. Unfortunately, I wish it did. Trust me, I wish it did, but it doesn't. They're not going to do business with each other. So let's move on to the one name that he did mention on this list that I absolutely think the New York Knicks should go after as well. Kelly Olynyk. Kelly Olynyk, man, $12.2 million deal right now. He plays fast, and also he's a playmaker with a jumper, according to Fred Katz. I love him. I love his game, and I think if he came to this team, he would absolutely complement what the New York Knicks are doing. He plays a type of similar game to Hartenstein in a way, only that he scores a little bit better because, as Fred Katz stated, he has a jumper, and his jumper is absolutely consistent. Could you imagine Isaiah Hartenstein starting for the Knicks, and then off your bench, you get Kelly Olynyk? That would be a great big man duo in the wake of the injuries with Jericho Sims and, of course, Mitchell Robinson. I can only hope and pray the New York Knicks would entertain a trade with the Utah Jazz again to get Kelly Olynyk. I know, I understand, Danny Ainge, Donovan Mitchell, they couldn't get a deal done with Utah for him. But this is not a star we're talking about. This is a solid role player we're talking about. And if that's the case, I think both of these teams can come together and get a deal done because it makes sense for both of them. Utah gets some pieces back, and of course, the New York Knicks get that player that they need to help them compete in the Eastern Conference. I'm not sure how much he'll move the needle for the Knicks, but I'll tell you one thing. He'll shore up this bench, and he'll make it known that he can still play at a high level with this Knicks team. Moving on to our last slide for today. According to Fred Katz, Nick Richards of the Charlotte Hornets has a couple of years remaining at $5 million a pop after this one. Daniel Gafford of the Washington Wizards makes $12.4 million this season, with $1 million raises in 2024-2025 and 2025-2026. Gafford especially would fit into Robinson's role well, a rim-protecting athletic pick-and-rolling center. Great points mentioned by Fred Katz of The Athletic. I can't disagree with them. I absolutely agree. If you can go out to Charlotte and get Nick Richards, you do it because he fits right now. He's on a bargain deal, and if you haven't noticed, he plays extremely well. If it wasn't for Mark Williams over there, he would probably start. Let's get that right. If the Knicks can get him and get him for an extremely profitable deal that makes sense for both parties, you do it. You do the trade immediately. But the other center that he mentioned, a little bit more expensive, but in terms of fit, he would fit like a glove. Daniel Gafford? Yeah, absolutely. You can get him. You can trade for him. You do that move. He would fit Mitchell Robinson's role, to Fred Katz's point, exactly. Athletic, rim protecting, and he can pick and roll as well too with the best of them. That's the type of player that you want. If the Knicks can swing that trade, I would give props to Leon Rose in the front office because that would be the most ideal fit right now. Him and Drummond, for me, are the two players the Knicks need to target immediately. And if they can get either one of those players, it's going to be a win for the New York Knicks. So shout out to Fred Katz for naming these players. They were the exact players I had in my head and the exact players I was thinking about the New York Knicks should go after if they wanted to go after any type of big man in the wake of these injuries. But Fred Katz wasn't done there. He also mentioned another name. And for me, I am absolutely out on this person. According to Fred Katz, they could take a swing on PJ Tucker, who is out of the Clippers rotation. He is imminently available and has succeeded as an undersized center before. But Tucker is also 38 years old, has faltered this season, and has an $11.5 million player option for the 2024-2025 season that he'd almost surely pick up. Yet, even after dropping all these names, Fred Katz states it's too early to know how the market for centers forms. I am 100,000 million billion % out on PJ Tucker. Please, we are undersized already. We don't have size already. You want to bring in a 38-year-old who is undersized? I get it. He's a winner, hellacious defender. I understand it. He's basically an older Josh Hart. I don't need an older Josh Hart. I just paid Josh Hart 80 plus million. I don't need to take on 11.5 million more. Thanks, but no thanks. Please. There are so many other options out there. So many better options out there. Leon Rose, New York Knicks. Please get me Daniel Gafford or get me Andre Drummond. Those are the only players I want the New York Knicks to go after. Other than that, please avoid all these other names. Maybe I'll go ahead and give a feeler out there for Kelly Olynyk because I like him in his game too. But apart from those three, other than them, I am out on all of those other names. Either they're not realistic, they're not going to happen this season, or they don't help the Knicks really. They don't help the Knicks get better. And if anything, they might make the Knicks worse. So thanks, but no thanks. Please get me Olynyk, get me Drummond, or if the stars align, get me Daniel Gafford. Those are the names that I want the New York Knicks to go after because, in my opinion, they fit what this New York Knicks team is looking to run this season more than anyone else. But what about you guys? What do you think? Let me know in the comments about who you feel the New York Knicks should go after in the wake of these injuries to Mitchell Robinson and Jericho Sims. Let me know in the comments below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below, and of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knick fans. Peace.